So I'm kind of like hot from this frustrating confrontation I just had with someone, and you kind of get amped up. But I think one of the benefits of having the farm, and one of the, I think the Stoic practices, is pausing and waiting and going outside and getting perspective on your problems. Is already being out here for like 2 minutes. I'm talking a little bit fast, but I can feel myself calming down. I can feel it coming, and that's sort of part of the reason I come out here and have this. Life is stressful, work is stressful. So what do you have that's the opposite of that gives you a connection to something deeper or bigger? And I think you need that, and you have to cultivate it, and you have to practice it. And if you don't, you're just like running at 100 all the time, and it eats at you. So when I was in London, I took like an hour cab ride from Heathrow to Chartwell, which is where Winston Churchill lived. And it was incredible to see this house where he kept that sort of routine of his, where he'd feed the goldfish, he'd recite poetry. His joke was that spouses shouldn't see each other before noon. But you could see where having something out in the country, having a routine, having ritual, having nature, he would go swimming. And then most importantly, you saw the studio where he did his painting. You just realize like the power of hobbies. And he wrote this amazing book called Painting as a Pastime, where he said like the most important thing that a public person can do is have 1 or 2 good hobbies. Marcus Aurelius, we know, went boar hunting. Seneca likes to point out all the hobbies that people had. And I mean, for him, it was clearly writing. Like, he was not a professional writer. He was a power broker, but he was doing this writing on the side for fun, and he did amazing work. But he liked to point out that Socrates liked to play a flute, and he used to like to play games with neighborhood children. Cato liked to drink wine and talk philosophy in the evening. So I think the power of hobbies is immense, and when Seneca talks about how it's easy to fracture an overworked mind, by having a hobby, you work different parts of your mind and then cause like rest through that. So for me, this farm that we're on is a big one. I'm just putzing around. We were sitting up in a deer stand. I'm just doing what I do. I had a nice work day, and then this is extra. It's good to have something to be responsible for, to think about, but that forces you to rest your mind. What I'm not doing is sitting at the computer, right? I'm not responding to phone calls. I don't get cell service out here, And look, there's no question, sometimes it's a pain in the ass. It's definitely, all of this is new. This isn't how I grew up. So you learn things, and I think the learning is the important. It's good to be bad at something, and I think, that's the idea. Like, I'm not trying to win at my hobby. I'm definitely not trying to make money, because it does not make very much money. But you just do the stuff. It's fun. Aristotle actually said, he said, that's the main question, with what is our leisure time filled? And Ovid, one of the poets that the Stoics were fond of, he said, what we do in our leisure reveals who we are as people. And I think that's true. So I think the question the Stoics would ask you is like, what do you do in your spare time, right? If you're all work, not only is that not healthy, but I think it shows you're a boring, uninterested person. I love the range that the Stoic philosophers had, that they were good at more than one thing, that they pursued more than one thing, that they experimented, that they took risks. I think that's not only what makes for an enjoyable life, but it makes you better at all the things that you do. Hey, thanks for watching Daily Stoic. If you want to learn more about Stoicism, you can check out some of our other videos here. Subscribe, we'd really appreciate it. Stay tuned, we post 2 videos a week. Keep learning, keep studying, and remember those 4 Stoic virtues: courage, justice, temperance, and wisdom.